What if his every move was being watched, every stop mapped, and the fatal blow wasn't random, but rehearsed? That's exactly what this second leaked footage suggests. Young Dolph wasn't just a target, he was hunted. And now, with this newly surfaced evidence, the chilling truth behind his final hours is unraveling, leaving a trail of shock and heartbreak across Memphis and the world. It began with a car, not just any car, but a white Mercedes-Benz, the kind of vehicle that blends into the background, yet can haunt a city's memory forever. In the days leading up to Young Dolph's murder, this car was spotted multiple times, always lingering in the background. New surveillance footage now confirms that this wasn't just a coincidence. This car followed Dolph closely, deliberately, and without deviation. Footage shows it trailing his signature camouflage Corvette through familiar Memphis streets, a ghost in traffic. Whether it was outside his apartment, near gas stations, or just down the block from his go-to spots, that white Benz was always there. The movements were too precise, the timing too clean. This wasn't the work of amateurs. Whoever was inside that car had a plan. The morning of the attack, Dolph made a stop at a local gas station, just blocks away from his ultimate destination, Makeda's homemade cookies. What seemed like a simple fuel up was actually the last documented moment of normalcy in his life. Cameras captured him standing next to his car, appearing relaxed, unaware of what was about to unfold. The same white Benz was also caught on tape, not right next to him, but close enough. Investigators believe this was the final surveillance move, double-checking his location, confirming his route. It's a chilling scene. Two lives moving in parallel, one oblivious, the other deadly determined. Witnesses later reported seeing unfamiliar cars idling in the area, one of which matched the white Benz description. Young Dolph was no stranger to Makeda's. He was a regular, always showing love to the family-run shop. He'd bought cookies there, posted about it, and made it part of his routine. That routine became a fatal vulnerability. At 12:24 p.m., Dolph was inside the shop when the white Mercedes pulled up. Two masked men emerged, dressed for destruction. They didn't hesitate. One held a Draco-style firearm. The other had a handgun. They moved quickly, almost militaristically. This wasn't an argument turned violent. This was an ambush. Surveillance footage shows them opening fire through the store windows. Shell casings scattered across the sidewalk. In seconds, the shooting was over, but the wound it left on the city was just beginning to fester. After the shooting, the killers didn't panic. They didn't fumble. They ran with intention. Back into the white Mercedes, doors slamming shut almost in sync. Within seconds, the car peeled away from the scene, disappearing into Memphis traffic. Witnesses couldn't get a license plate, and the vehicle was so common that it didn't raise immediate red flags. It was found later, abandoned on Bradley Avenue, 3 miles from the crime scene, intact but cold. Inside, investigators found gloves, bullet casings, and other items linking the car to multiple suspects. But there was a twist. Despite all the evidence, not a single fingerprint belonging to Justin Johnson, the man believed to be one of the shooters, was recovered. Johnson didn't leave fingerprints, but he left footprints across the digital landscape. Surveillance footage from earlier that morning shows him entering and exiting a building with his daughter, dressed in gray sweatpants, a black hoodie, and the now infamous Bass Pro Shops hat. Hours later, one of the shooters at Makeda's is seen wearing the exact same outfit, This wasn't a coincidence. Prosecutors tied the clothing, the movements, and the timing together with surgical precision. They showed how Johnson left his cousin's apartment complex just 37 minutes before the shooting. Plenty of time to arrive at Makeda's, execute the plan, and flee. One detective even testified that Johnson's underwear waistband was visible in footage, matching the same type he wore in an earlier police encounter. The prosecution laid out a timeline so detailed it looked like a heist movie script. At 2:41 a.m., Johnson was seen entering the crosstown concourse. By 4:48 a.m., he's back, this time with his daughter. At 11:51 a.m., surveillance catches him driving away in the white Benz. At 12:24 p.m., Dolph is dead. That's a 33-minute window between the last confirmed sighting of Johnson and the moment bullets rained down on Makeda's. Everything pointed to premeditation. Johnson wasn't reacting to a chance encounter. He was executing a plan, one that had likely been in motion for days. Here's where things get darker. The stolen white Benz was traced back to a carjacking incident days earlier. A woman had her car taken at gunpoint at a gas station in East Memphis. That car ended up being the one used in the hit. And guess what? It had been spotted driving past Makeda's several times before the murder. That suggests the killers were familiar with Dolph's routine. They knew where he'd be and when. Which begs the question, who told them? Was someone close to Dolph feeding them information? Or were they just observing him long enough to learn his habits? Either way, this wasn't random. It was personal. Just when the case seemed wrapped up with Johnson and his accomplices behind bars, another name emerged: Hernandez Govan. He wasn't seen in any footage. He wasn't caught with any weapons, but prosecutors say he's the mastermind, the one who gave the order. Govan had a long history of run-ins with the law and a reputation in the streets. He allegedly had connections to both the shooters and the stolen vehicle. According to investigators, he orchestrated the murder from behind the scenes, giving instructions and possibly financing the operation. Some speculate it was about money, others say it was envy. But one thing is clear, he's now facing first-degree murder charges. In the courtroom, alliances crumbled. People who were once tight-lipped started talking. Statements from co-conspirators revealed damning details. One admitted to firing through the window, describing exactly where Dolph was standing. Another confirmed that Johnson got into the white Benz after the shooting. These testimonies didn't just add color to the case. They connected dots that had been missing. They created a web of accountability, and once those statements were corroborated with footage, timelines, and vehicle tracking, the case became airtight. The reaction from the public was immediate and intense. Fans gathered at Makeda's, laying down candles, flowers, and posters. A mural was painted nearby. Social media was flooded with tributes, memories, and music videos. Artists like Gucci Mane, Megan Thee Stallion, and Chance the Rapper voiced their sorrow. But it wasn't just celebrities. It was the community. Dolph wasn't just a rapper. He was a local hero. He donated money to schools, handed out turkeys on Thanksgiving, and helped people pay rent. He was building a legacy beyond music, and that's what made his death hurt even more. Even with arrests made and charges filed, the case is far from closed. Law enforcement continues to chase new leads. More surveillance footage has surfaced. More potential suspects are being questioned, and more digital footprints are being analyzed. There's also speculation that the hit might be part of a larger feud. possibly involving other rappers, business associates, or street-level conflicts. The investigation has gone federal, and sources say even the IRS has taken interest due to financial connections linked to some of the suspects. This case has all the makings of a crime saga: surveillance, betrayal, ambition, and tragedy. But it's also a story of legacy. Young Dolph stood for independence. He was one of the few artists who stayed independent while still reaching massive success. He inspired others to do the same. His murder was meant to silence him, but instead, it amplified his message. New fans have discovered his music. Old fans have rallied around his memory. His death sparked conversations about safety, loyalty, and the dark side of fame. Young Dolph's story didn't end at Makeda's. It lives on in the people he helped, the music he made, and the truth still being uncovered. The second leaked footage opened the world's eyes to just how deep this conspiracy went. And as more evidence continues to emerge, one thing becomes clear. This was never just about a rapper being in the wrong place at the wrong time. This was a setup. This was a betrayal. And it was a lesson for every artist trying to rise while staying real. Rest in power, Young Dolph. Your voice may be gone, but your legacy, untouchable.